considering the fact that I'm going to need my webcam for stream today, I figured let's see how it goes in the videos before stream, but we got a little bit to update before we get into stream, and we're going to split it up, starting with a preview for Rampage tomorrow, that even though Christmas Eve is this weekend, we are still going to get content out. We're still got content to come tomorrow night, and it's a normal Rampage preview for AEW Rampage. And speaking of Rampage, there is plans for an update to Rampage and Dynamite coming in 2023. It is stuff we've heard a lot about over the last couple of weeks, with Michael Mansouri being brought in as executive producer, and that Michael Mansouri is going to update and change Dynamite and Rampage's look. I think that it would be very much a good thing for Rampage to get a little bit of it more separate identity to Dynamite, and I think it would be good for Rampage to update itself as with Dynamite as well. But I think that AEW needs to keep things that have defined AEW, but shaking things up as we head into the new year is the perfect time to shake things up, especially as Tony Khan mentioned, doing it heading into the premiere event for AEW Dynamite in Seattle, which is somewhere I'm pretty sure AEW has never been, because I am pretty sure that AEW has never been to Seattle thus far, and it is something that, well, hitting the refresh button at the outset of the year is a lot better than doing it somewhere in the middle part of the year, because it just makes a bit more sense. But Dynamite and Rampage could use a refresh, and Rampage could use something that identifies it as something a little bit different to Dynamite. I'm not sure if that means that they may have to move Rampage to allow for some breathing room, to allow for it to be a little bit looked at as a little bit different, and not have it where they're doing it after Dynamite anymore. But, you know, that's something that they could address in 2023, but I'm looking forward to seeing what changes are made for Rampage in 2020 and Dynamite in 2023, because I think they're both much needed. Speaking of AEW though, Adam Cole is finally, we have gotten an update on Adam Cole, who has been on the shelf since the summertime with a very severe concussion, and the update is positive that Dave Meltzer said that Adam Cole is doing better. There is no timetable for his return, but it is very friendly and very positive that we get some positive news on the part of Adam Cole, because the last time we heard about Adam Cole, it was a question of if he would return, not when he would return. So the idea of it being a little bit more positive now, as opposed to it being extremely negative like it has been. You know, the positivity that we get now from Adam Cole possibly coming back in 2023 is something a little bit more optimistic. And with the amount of AEW news, by the way, I would love the opportunity. I would again love the opportunity to be able to play AEW Fight Forever, but maybe sometime in 2023 we will be able to play that game instead of having AEW news passed to you in WWE 2K23. Speaking of AEW news, though, there were a few people backstage at Dynamite, namely former AEW World Women's Champion Thunder Rosa was backstage at Dynamite last night, and it wasn't for her promoting a return right now. According to reports, it seems like Thunder will be back in the spring of 2023, so right around Revolution. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what changed to keep her further, away for longer. I don't know what's going on that front, but what I do know is that when Thunder Rosa does come back to AEW, she will be a welcomed addition to a women's division that could need a little bit of an extra infusion of a former champion within the ranks again after, well, Thunder Rosa never lost the title, so it's a welcome story for current champion Jamie Hayter. It's a welcome story for Jamie Hayter that she could actually go against the former champion that never lost her title. And I'm sure Toni Storm, who was supposed to be the one to challenge Thunder Rosa for the AEW World Women's Championship, the night that Thunder Rosa, or that pay-per-view, or maybe that night that Thunder Rosa announced that she was injured, whatever the case may be, but Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm were supposed to compete against each other, but Toni Storm ended up being the one that became the interim champion after Thunder's injury was made official. So it's just a question of, there are built-in stories once Thunder Rosa does come back. It's just a question of when that's going to happen. And, how that will help AEW, I think it will help them tremendously having somebody like Thunder Rosa back. Speaking of people backstage at AEW, Rodney Mack and Jazz were also backstage in AEW visiting friends on Dynamite because they are local Texans, from what I understand. So them being back at a show in Texas is not unfamiliar or unsurprising. But I do think that if somebody like Jazz wanted to come back and move into like a training position as AEW tries to cultivate a management team to maintain and manage the company, Jazz would be a perfect fit, in my opinion, for somebody that could come in and help craft and cultivate the next generation of women's wrestlers, because of the amount of experience and the amount of time and energy Jazz has put into the wrestling business, that having her help out AEW would be a perfect role for her. And even occasionally competing at this point would be also something that would be perfect for Jazz in the position that she's in. It just really depends on if it's something that she wants to do, because I do know recently, I'm pretty sure she retired or maybe stepped into the role of just competing when she wants, but I'm not sure officially what Jazz's position is, but I think Jazz would be a welcome addition to help push the next generation of women's wrestlers to the next level. And the final update for this video before we move to the next one is that I don't know. I just want to make one more note on the previously mentioned changes to AEW Dynamite, because I'm going to try and split things up. That I don't know if Michael Mansouri is going to be acting on his own, or like what type of plan they're going to do. But in my opinion, one thing I would like to see with Rampage is subtle, simple, identifying changes that, even if you don't want to have like Orange Cassidy specifically on Rampage, where where the fans know that if they want to see Orange Cassidy, tune into Rampage, but just make Rampage look different. Make Rampage look different to Dynamite, and just not like make it where people can understand, oh, I'm watching Rampage. This isn't a replay of Dynamite. Maybe for Rampage, have the announcers at ringside instead of by the announce table. Instead of by the rampway. Like, change where the announcers are, or do something different. I know the voices are different, but they need to have something identifiable to give Rampage its own identity, because that is something that they are desperately in need of in 2023 for Rampage to get a little bit more of a character. Rampage needs more character development. But let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on anything and everything that I talked about in this video, and I will see you in the next one.